After working with creatives for the last 11 years, I've heard one statement more than any other. I hate marketing. I get it. It can be painful trying to figure out how to market your book or movie or comic. When I started podcasting, I had no clue how to do any of it. I was afraid of doing it wrong, looking like an idiot or making a marketing mistake that I could not recover from. It can be paralyzing. Sound familiar? If it does, let me see if I can help you. I got my MBA in marketing, so you don't have to. Sign up for a free session today to talk about your marketing goals and to see if we're a good fit. If nothing else, you'll get some insights that might ease your mind. Go to southgatesmallbusiness.com and sign up for a free session today. Welcome to Alley Chats. I'm your host, Rob Southgate. Alley Chats is a virtual artist alley featuring interviews with artists, filmmakers, podcasters, writers, really any creative person you might find at a pop culture convention. My goal is to help draw attention to cool people and to hopefully help them get some new fans. I want this podcast to raise up these amazing people and to inspire you, the listener, to chase your dreams as well. You can follow Alley Chats on Facebook and join the conversation. I'll add more social media in the future, but for now, that's the best place to interact with me. You can also email me directly if you would like to be a guest or have a guest suggestion. My email is rob@smgpods.com. Welcome to Alley Chats. I have horror author MJ Mars with me, straight from the UK. New book coming out. Well, if you hear this today, it's coming out tomorrow. We have a lot to talk about. MJ, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
And MJ, you're also part of Books and Brews, which is happening August 3rd at Double Clutch Brewing Company in Evanston, Illinois. I should say all that stuff because people listen all over. And if anyone's been listening to this show this month, you know I've been doing interview after interview after interview with authors. This has been just one of the greatest months. I've been having so much fun because I love horror. I love horror books. I love authors. It's a blast. So, MJ, why don't you tell people about yourself? Tell them who you are, what you do. Just kind of spit it out there. You could talk about your book that's coming out tomorrow, too.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm MJ. I'm from Lancaster in the UK. So we've got like quite a dark history going on around here. We've got like a castle that had a really famous witch trial and all that kind of stuff. So lots of horror things in the area. Yeah, so I write horror. My first book, The Suffering, came out last year. And it was a Brawl contender last year. So if people were part of the Books of Horror Brawl last year, it might be familiar to you from that. And also, like you say, there's the one tomorrow, which is just a short story collection. There's 8 horror stories. There's a bit of all sorts going on in there. There's like Bigfoot, aliens, curses, ghosts, ghouls, you name it. It's got a bit of everything. So if you like short stories, then hit that up.
And that's called We've Already Gone Too Far, a horror short story collection of cryptids and other fun things. So cryptids, we're going to start there. You a
Excellent.
cryptid girl? Are
Oh,
you
yeah.
into that stuff?
Always been a cryptid girl. Yeah, I love all that stuff. Like ever since I saw like the Patty video when I was a little kid, I was just mesmerized, and all of the rumors about Loch Ness and all of the sea monsters, Champ and everything. I've always found it so fascinating. I think I found out that Santa wasn't real when I was very, very young. I think I was only about like 5. And
Okay,
since then, it was the monsters were the only thing that gave me that like excitement again. So I feel
sure.
like that kind of bridged the gap after finding out about Santa. That now I can just get really excited about these monsters that, probably aren't real, but there's still a little hope that they might be. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of those funny things, the cryptid thing, because as we, some people are really into it and they're like, they fully believe, and other people are completely skeptical. And I go, this is a huge world. This is a huge universe. We don't know what the
Yeah.
hell. And we don't know what could even be happening. Like when you talk about Santa, it's really funny. There's a whole thing going on out there that they're saying Santa was an alien or whatever. And you're like, no, this is a story. But they're like, no, when you go back to the root story, the actual person who was doing this, they go, it only makes sense that he was like either alien or something. You're like, this is so freaking weird. Like
Yeah.
maybe he was real to them. I don't know. What about Bigfoot? You got Bigfoot around Lancaster?
We don't have anything. We maybe have like a couple of big cats somewhere, but we
Oh, the
have
big cats are a big thing.
but we don't have anything like super cool apart from Loch Ness, obviously.
You got
Uh,
Loch Ness, yes.
yeah, but no, we don't have any Bigfoot stories really. But when I was over in the States in April, everywhere we were driving past trees, I was just like looking just in case. Which I know sounds so silly, but like it's that kid in me. I just cannot help but think, oh, if
Me
one just
too.
out of the woods right now.
Me too. We were in Portland, Oregon with my niece, and she took us out to this waterfall. And the whole time I kept joking, I'm saying, I'm going to see Bigfoot because there's so many sightings there, right? And she took us out to these waterfalls and she's like, oh, you got to see it. It's beautiful. And it was stunning, right? And as we're standing there and we're looking at this thing, and you can't get anywhere near the waterfalls. It's like sectioned off. I made a joke about Bigfoot. And she says, you should look it up and see if there's been anything here. Because it felt like if you're going to see something, this would be where you'd see it. And I looked it up, and like 3 weeks before was a major sighting right there at those waterfalls during a wedding.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're kidding me. It was so crazy. And it was all over the press that
Weird.
something walked out from behind the waterfall, but like ducked back, and all these people witnessed it. And they had all these names of people saying, a person couldn't get back there. I mean, I stood there looking. I'm like, it's impossible. What the hell was this? So that was pretty fun.
Amazing. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
checking all your photographs that you took on the day afterwards, like looking in the background just in case?
Something is in there. I swear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the patty thing is interesting too. Have you seen like people are doing stabilized videos and all that?
Yes.
There's a great podcast. I'm going to give a plug to some podcast friends of mine called Astonishing Legends.
Okay.
Scott, one of the hosts, is a friend of mine. They did like a 5-part or a 6-part or something series all about the Patty film.
I
And
just
they
think
go through detail after detail, and it's like exhausting, but at the same time, like I couldn't stop listening.
it's so interesting, all those analysis over like the gait and the length of the arms and
Yep.
how it moves the fingers and things like that. I just think it's fascinating. And I know that like Bob Gimblin's allegedly on his deathbed, no, not him, Rob allegedly on his deathbed said, oh, it was all a hoax, it was all a hoax. But then part of me is just like, I
Yeah,
don't
but then they
know.
didn't prove that it was a hoax. That's what's really crazy. You should
Exactly.
listen to that podcast. I think you'd really go like,
I am
oh, because
I'm gonna check it out.
it's so many things. So okay, enough paranormal talk. We're here to talk about your books. So
Okay.
so horror. You said your first book came out last year. So have you been driven, like, is that when you started really writing and said, I can't help myself, I gotta write this, and horror's the thing? Or have you been writing a long time and you finally said, okay, guess what, world? I write horror.
Well, I've been writing a long, long time. And I was always in that camp of I don't have the confidence to sort of self-publish. Like I felt like I needed to have it picked up by someone for that validation.
Mhm.
I just always struggled with that kind of self-doubt and sort of talking myself out of things. So last year, Wicked House took the suffering, which just sent me on this path really, which was just like everything that I'd always dreamed of, getting into the writing world and being an author. And so if it wasn't for that happening, then we've already gone too far, wouldn't be coming out tomorrow because I would have never had the guts to do it. All
Yeah.
the knowledge as well. I think like in the last year, I've just got so much knowledge from all the other writers and authors who are doing it themselves and who are running indie presses and things like that. That it's now it's just it the balls started rolling, and so you can just take it wherever you want to go, really. And I wish I'd had the confidence to just go for it before, but I feel like with my personality type, I did need, like I say, that validation to just sort of be able to be like, hey, buy my book. It's not just
Yeah.
me, it's good. Like this guy took it on. And so yeah, I've always wanted to do it. I've never wanted to do anything else. Like I've been working all my life, obviously, but never been happy in a job because all I could think about was being a writer and getting back and writing and making a living from it if I could possibly in the future. And so yeah, I just never ever felt like I wanted to do anything else from being a tiny little tot. So yeah, it's just all coming about, which is really, really good.
So who would you say are this is a terrible question to ask. I do this to everybody, but I'm going to ask it. Who would you say are the authors that really have inspired you? Give me like the top three.
Top three. Okay.
I know it's
So
horrible, right? Tomorrow it's going to be a different three, but right now, in this moment, what are the top three?
oh, well, I always have my top two. So I might
Okay.
struggle with the third one, but top two, always the late great Richard Layman has always been my favorite. I first picked up, I think it was Funland, when I was going on holiday when I was younger, and I'd never read anything like it. I just thought it was crazy just how he describes people eating, the way the weather is, the way people are. I mean, obviously, when you read them back now, they're a little bit dated, but he can't help that because he wrote them in the 70s.
Right.
But I just loved it. And then the ending was like nothing I'd ever read before. So I ended up just going out of my way to get every single book of his, like my shelf, my top two shelves on my bookshelf are just Richard Layman, everything. And then of course he passed away so young, that it's just terrible because I would have loved to have seen where he took the Beast House, because he had a fourth one. It's like the Beast House trilogy, and then there is a fourth one out there, but he passed away while he was doing it. So someone else has kind of like tried to fill in the gaps and things, and you can tell it's not quite 100% there.
Hmm.
But I that would have been so exciting to just see it continue and be a movie or whatever. That would have been amazing. So yeah, Richard Layman number one always. Two, I'm a huge, huge, huge Paul Tremblay fan. I just absolutely love him. And after meeting
Me
him
too.
at oh, isn't he just amazing? And then I met him at AuthorCon, and he was just the nicest man in the whole entire world. And it just made me love him even more because, like, I'd spoken to him the day before when I'd sort of met him and got a book off him, and then saw him again the next day because I'd been too chicken to ask him for a photograph. So, like, went back to him and was just like, "I'm really sorry, I was so starstruck yesterday. I couldn't ask for a photograph." So he was just lovely. He came out. Eric LaRocca, and his partner were just like, "Oh, we'll take the pictures, don't you worry," which was so sweet of them. And then Paul just remembered everything I'd said to him the day before. Like I told him about the travels that we were doing and how we'd started in Washington and where we were going next. And he was just like, "Oh, so you're doing this, aren't you? And then you're doing that, and then you go in there." And I was just like, "How the hell have you remembered that?" There was a stream of people to see him, obviously, because it's Paul Tremblay, just
Right,
amazing.
right.
But he must remember those little details about people, and it just matters so much to people. I just think it was such a great example of how to be just the perfect person to sort of idolize. And because they say don't meet your heroes, don't they? But he's an exception because he was just aces. I loved him.
Tell you what, a lot of the authors I've met that I would say are the heroes have been like that too.
Yeah.
So I think heroes and authors are kind of the exception to don't meet your heroes. Want more shows like this? We've got a lot more on the Southgate Media Group Patreon page. Some free, some paid. Plus, there's exclusive content for subscribers only. Follow the link in the show notes or look up Southgate Media Group on Patreon and check out the cool stuff we're doing over there. You won't be sorry. On August 3rd, 2024, Books of Horror is presenting Books and Brews at Double Clutch Brewing Company in Evanston, Illinois. There will be over 40 horror authors for a book signing and meetup from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. that day. Meet your favorite authors, discover new authors, meet Books of Horror friends in real life, including the author I'm talking with on this podcast. Oh, and I'll be there too. This is an all-ages event. Food, alcohol, and non-alcoholic beverages will be available. No outside food or drinks will be allowed. Search for Books of Horror Presents Books and Brews on Facebook events for more information, or click on the link in the show notes. I hope to see you there. That aside, his writing, his prose is just stunning, I think.
I love it. And one thing I really love about him is the way he writes women, especially the little girls. It just is so relatable to me. And I don't think there's many guys who do it that well, where it is just, they are always so cool and you always feel so connected to them.
So
And
real.
yes, yeah, just everyone's so real. I just, yeah, I think he's absolutely just out of this world brilliant. I think he's really brave as well, like the things he does, like horror movie, the latest, putting the script in there, and like the pallbearers club, the sort of back and forth. It's so brave, and he knows he's going to get flack from people for just doing what he wants to do, and he
Yeah.
just does it anyway, and he pulls it off, and it's just always brilliant. I love him so much. I'm just Tremblay
All right.
champion. I just think he's ace.
Welcome to the Paul Tremblay podcast. We are showing our love to him. Okay, who's your third?
Oh, third. Oh my God, I'm gonna go with. I will shout out female, and I'm gonna go with Megan Stockton. I just think she's the coolest. Lovely Dark and Deep is one of the best books that I've read in the last few years. She does extreme as well. I mean, like last year at AuthorCon, her gross out competition is just going down in history as the most legendary, sick, nasty, in a wonderful way, experience that most people have had. I think she's really cool. Like she's inspired me in these last couple of years. And she's just such a nice person. Again, just like you can contact her for anything, and she's just always open. Just a genuine cool girl. I just love her. I think she's ace. So yeah, I'll put Megan third.
So you've got a novel, and then you've got these short story collections. Are you see what I find with a lot of authors is a lot of them might start with short stories and feel they never have a novel in them, and then finally get the novel out. But you put a novel out first and then worked backwards. Are you somebody who, like, you have this stockpile of short stories you're always working on, but you at your heart are a novelist? Or is it like, I just like to mix it up?
Well, it's a funny thing, really. It's thanks to Tiffany again, that I did the We've Already Gone Too Far, because when she said Books and Brews is going on, a lot of people are doing chapbooks or sort of little things to release just as a little exclusive. So I was like, oh my goodness, I hadn't even thought about it. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I had a couple of short stories. There's two. There's one called Monastery Blood Moon, which is about a punk band who are fighting gargoyles in like a fancy.
This sounds amazing.
Well, I hope so. And then there's another one called In Bocca al Lupo, which is about monsters. And they've been published elsewhere. But the rest of them I only wrote when I got back from AuthorCon, because I was just like, now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to like do this short story collection. I think 8 is fair. So I'll put these 2 in, and then I just kind of like went on a mad few weeks of just writing, but a lot of it is from experiences that I had on that trip. Like there's one that's about a magician, and I saw Penn and Teller when I was in Vegas, which was like
Fun.
a lifelong bucket list tick. Oh, I went up on stage. Could you believe it?
What?
I know the jelly bean trick, where they have people counting the jelly beans at the beginning, and then you have to be the person counting money. And oh my God, like I just thought, how am I going to do this? Because I am so bad at maths. This is where me and Tremblay go off in completely different directions, because he's like a master with, and I am just a dunce when it comes to maths. So I was up on this stage, pens there in all his amazing glory, like count these things and then write down your amount. And my mind just went completely blank. And I was like looking at the audience like, oh my God, I've got to do maths. What the hell? Like, I cannot do this. But it all worked out in the end, and that was fine. So yeah, anyway, one of the stories is about a magician and a curse that kind of goes on throughout his lineage. Like all the guys in the family are destined to be magicians and then die horribly, because of something that happened in the past. And then there was another one that was on an aeroplane, and people just start disappearing from the plane. And it was because on the flight back from Vegas, I looked out of the window and I'd forgotten that there was the how they have that button now where it sort of makes it like blue
Yeah,
rather
yeah, yeah. It makes it
than
so it's
pull
like
down.
so the sun doesn't crush you.
Exactly, but it makes the sun purple, which I'd never had an experience of. And I looked out and I was just like, what is that big purple circle? What is that big purple thing? And I was like freaked out for a second, like, is it the aliens coming? Then I was like, no, right, this is what it is. It's the sun. But then I just thought I'll use that in a story because it freaked me the fuck out. I'm not even joking. So yeah, it was just like little bits of things that had happened. There's one called Jeff Through the Trees, which has been quite popular, and it was something we said about the Jefferson Memorial as we were going past it. Like we were driving out of Washington, and then I think my husband just went, "Oh, there's Jeff through the trees," and I was like, "Oh, that's a really cool." Like I like that, Jeff through the trees. I'm going to do a story around that, and so that's the first one, Jeff through the trees, who's creeping people out left, right, and centre from what I've heard, which is lovely from the sort of
Love
early.
that.
So yeah, it's all a little bit of a taster of this trip to America has gone right through this book. So it's
You're going to
nice.
have to come back and purposely put yourself in places that are a little bit creepy, like go down to the Sally house,
Oh
and like,
yes,
yeah, stuff like that. You're going to have to do. We when we travel, we try to find uh oddities, and
me
we travel a
too.
lot, and it's cool. Like I'm still inspired. We went down. You ever hear of Coral Castle
No,
down in Florida? Our friends live down there, and we were visiting, and they said, "Hey, we're going to go out to Coral Castle." I'm like, okay, thinking it's going to be like some fish display or something. It is a castle, wait for it, made of coral. Okay. But here's what's weird. It was one guy that built it. These pieces of coral are so giant and this meticulous cutting, it's kind of like the pyramids where you go, there's a lot of debate on how this was actually done. Like
yeah,
everyone debates on how they got the stuff there, which okay, you could debate on how did he move this stuff himself? But
yeah.
how did he cut it? How did he get coral in these perfect triangles that are like the size of a house?
Oh wow, I'm going to check
And
that out.
nobody saw him do it.
What? That's
I
crazy.
know it's crazy.
Oh, I love
So
it.
that's the kind of thing like those oddities we always look for. I'm also always looking for were there UFOs in this area? I'm like amateur UFO investigator all the time. Uh, I'm always trying to figure it out and looking for Bigfoot and everything else.
Yeah.
Now your stories, we've talked about the paranormal.
Mhm.
Are you at the heart of your horror writing? Are you a monster girl? Are you a ghost girl? What is it that, or are you like, nope, actually, I'm a slasher girl and I'm way into that, but I do write some monster stuff. What is it?
Probably mostly ghosts, but I do love the monsters. Obviously, there's quite a few crop up in this short story thing. But like the suffering, I'm working on a sequel to it. So it's very 13 ghosts, where there's all the
Mhm.
different ghosts from different time
Love it.
periods, not in this house. Excellent. So there's sort of a history of a seance gone wrong in the Victorian period, and then these kids in 2016 tried to recreate it, and all the ghosts come out, and one latches onto each of the kids.
You know that's going to be a problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, what were they thinking? So I'm doing like a sequel for that, and then I've got another one coming out next year with Wicked House again. It's about an experiment. You know, when you're going to sleep and you shut your eyes and you can see like colors and
Uh-huh.
shapes and things sometimes. So it's about the focus being on that, but it actually being like a portal to bring demons out through people's eyes while they're trying to sleep. So I just wanted to do something that was really going to stop people from being able to ever shut their eyes again. And so that's coming out next year.
Afterwards, I have to tell you something about that
Ah, okay. Ah,
because I've had a very interesting experience, not paranormal or anything, but I think it may inspire a little bit of what you're doing because I have a story for you.
yes.
Uh, yeah, I
Please.
know. Ooh, he's chumming the waters, but the audience won't hear it. So if you had to pick your favorite ghost book,
Ooh.
what would it be?
Oh, well, this is kind of contentious, I would say. I would probably say a head full of ghosts, even though you don't actually know if it is a haunting or not. But I mean, it's the
I
gateway
know, Paul
drug.
Tremblay again.
It's the gateway
Uh,
drug, Tremblay.
it was for me. It was the one I picked up, and then I read it, and I was like, "Is this a ghost story?" But by the end of
Yeah.
it, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to order everything he's written."
Yeah. So
So
I,
I
I
get
sound
that
like a
one.
broken record with this, but yeah, if it's the quintessential ghost story, not then probably I would have to say that.
Okay, what about film?
Oh, film. Oh, well, I'm an old-fashioned Hellraiser girl. I've always loved the
Mm.
Cenobites, and I love that kind of how they all have their backstories. I think that's something that always really excites me in horror, just learning that little bit about the backstory. And I think it's something that was done so well in the 80s um, and 90s, and you don't really see it as much now. It's more about kind of the people who are being attacked rather than what's attacking them. And I'm always kind of like rooting for the attacker. That sounds a bit horrible, but
Well, no, I mean, think about it and also it can go too far when you think about Halloween. He gave you that tiny bit of backstory about Michael Myers in that first movie. That was enough, but boy, it propelled you through it. Then when Rob Zombie redid it and gave you an hour of backstory, it was too much. You
yeah,
didn't need that.
no, it took away from it, didn't it?
But
Yeah.
the that little bit really added to it. So yeah,
Definitely.
I
I
get
think
that.
yeah, and what I love with Clive Barker as well is like the more you learn, it's like little tiny bits, but like how the Chatterer is really a little boy, and it's like you
Yeah.
learn that, and then you're just like, oh my God, that makes it 100 times worse in a good way. Like that's brilliant.
Did you see the last Hellraiser movie, the one that was on
Yes, I
Hulu?
really loved
It
it.
was so good. And I thought
Yeah.
it was a really good, like it didn't feel like it ignored the past. It didn't feel like a reboot. It
Yep.
felt like an expansion on it without being ridiculous. I loved it. And I did
Agreed.
love the backstory within that too.
I thought it was fantastic. And
Yeah, I'm
like,
a big Clive Barker fan. In fact, oh, I've got it sitting right here. I was just reading Books of Blood again.
oh, nice. The
So
proof right there.
the proof was right here. Yeah, Barker is an amazing author. He's one. See, I'm a short story guy. I read a lot of novels, but short stories, I love them. And
Yeah.
you read those Barker. That Books of Blood is just
Oh,
astounding. We need
yeah.
to get Paul Tremblay to write us a book of short stories, just Tootsie Rolls for us of his stuff. That would be amazing. I don't know if he's that
He
kind of writer.
has. He's got a couple out.
Not does he? Wait, what am I missing?
Let's growing things.
Oh, right, right. Because he uses that in Head Full of Ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's another one as well, I'm sure.
Is there? I remember now that you say it, I do remember. I don't have growing things. I remember, I mean, I read it in that book and he was talking in the book at the end about how, like, it's okay. And I'm like, oh, well, I haven't picked it up yet because he just went, it's okay. But it's not like Joe Hill, his short stories are, mm,
Yeah.
I love them. Love them.
Oh, the best short story collection that I love is the Richard Layman one, Dreadful Tales.
Oh
Just
my God.
so
Yes.
good. It's so
Amazing.
good. Like
Amazing.
I have got that, and the spine is just taped because I've like read it so many times. There's like chunks of pages just falling out. I
It's
just love that.
disintegrating in places. You're just like, I can fill in the words. I know exactly what it's saying.
Exactly. I know it off by heart. Yeah, I don't even need the pages. Throw them away.
So, okay, I'm going to ask a question. Since you are going to be at Books and Brews, that is in
Mhm.
Chicago. I'm not going to ask you the normal Alley Chats question because you've already name dropped a million people.
Yes.
And I know you're excited to meet everybody at Books and Brews.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to ask you who you're most wanting to meet because then somebody's hurt feelings are going to get hurt, right? Uh, I doubt it. But oh, you have one? Who are you most excited to meet?
Oh, I'm probably most excited to meet out of everybody. Probably Duncan Ralston because he's been really supportive all the way through. We're both at Wicked House together. He wasn't
Sure.
at AuthorCon, and I missed him there. So it will be lovely to meet Duncan. But everybody's just I'm so excited to meet everybody.
I'm excited to meet the ones that I haven't met in person. So I'm like,
Exactly.
I can't name one. It's like every one. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet MJ. I can't wait to meet,
Yeah.
everybody. I will tell you, make it a point to meet Josh Mallerman. Make it a point to meet Christina
Yeah.
Henry. Make it a point to meet Daniel Kraus. They are all fantastic people. Jeff Strand, fantastic guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Meet everybody. Okay, so here's the big final question.
Okay.
You're coming to Chicago. We are a food city. What are you wanting to have when you're here? Is there a restaurant? Is there a type of food that you're like, I'm dying for this?
Okay, so I am going to disappoint everybody and be like, I am the blandest, most British taste in the world. Like when people
Okay.
ask me, what's your favorite sweet? I'm like, I kind of like mint imperials. They're just like, well, that is shit.
Okay.
Like beans on toast is my favorite food.
Beans on toast. You are British.
I'm so British. It's just like obnoxiously British. Pizza, like point me in the direction of a really good pizza place and I'll be happy.
Okay. Well, there is a pizza party that we're having, so you'll
I know.
have
I'm
some
so
pizza there. And in fact, I think it's at the place that I'm would say is the best pizza in Chicago. So you've
cool.
scored. Ask it for no seasoning on it. And no, I'm kidding.
Make it
Uh,
really bland. Yeah, just
really bland. As bland as make it just the dough and water. That would be
yeah.
ideal. Well, good. You will have pizza while you're here. I know that. So, all right. Well, MJ, this was really lovely. Everybody, go see MJ at Books and Brews at Double Clutch Brewing Company in Evanston, Illinois on August 3rd. You get to meet her, buy her books, buy this new book, get it signed, you get a picture. She loves to take selfies. And you can tell her about how, like you've got a friendship with Paul Tremblay. You don't know why she doesn't. And that'll really, get her going. Uh, dresses Bigfoot. That'll really get her like,
Yes.
wait a minute, I saw him.
Do that. Please do
So
that.
MJ, where can I direct people to follow you? Do you have a social media platform you like to use?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hit up my website is mjmarsauthor.com, and at the bottom it's got all of the links. So whatever you use, I've got like Insta, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I don't really use it very much, but if you use it, then hit me up there and I will be there.
Great. And marketing guy, I got to say this. Everybody follow her, share her stuff. That really helps. If you like what she's doing, share it. That gets her more traffic. That makes people more aware. And that's the fuel that drives an author so that they know there's interest in them and people will buy their books and keeps them going. And you can tell MJ wants people to buy her books. So I want people to buy her books too. So there you go. MJ, thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you at Books and Brews August 3rd.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait to meet you too.
It would really help me out if you would rate and review this show on whatever platform you use to listen to this podcast. Good reviews help others find the show, which ultimately helps the people I've interviewed get more exposure. You can connect with me on social media or via email. All the links are found in the show notes. If you like this show, you'll like other shows from Southgate Media Group as well, such as Read Between the Lines, a podcast featuring insightful interviews with some of the hottest authors out there. Or Go Fund This, a podcast where we interview people about their amazing crowdfunding projects. You can find our shows wherever you listen to podcasts, so give them a try. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate and review our shows. It really helps other people find them and keep our team inspired. Alley Chats is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted, produced, and edited by me, Rob Southgate. Thanks again for listening to Alley Chats.